Hello everyone. Today we are going to see about this particular question. This is not a personal opinion question. This is not a personal discussion question. So no personal opinion should come here. This is an ideas type question where they are asking what are the reasons for a particular crisis and how it might be remedied. So this is a problem solution question, basically, the cause effect question, basically. So let's go ahead and analyze the task first. So when we go with the task response, the first thing is the topic, understanding the topic. The topic is loneliness. Loneliness is an increasing problem in many societies, especially the elderly. So we have the problem of loneliness everywhere in many societies, and this happens especially among the elderly. It's not mentioning that only the elderly has the problem. So it happens in many societies, to many age group. It happens to children, it happens to adolescents, it happens to young adults, young married couples, it happens to middle-aged people, it happens to the retired people, it happens to the geriatric population. So it happens to different age group, irrespective of age, irrespective of gender, irrespective of the family background, irrespective of the economic background, this happens. So this is what we can say here. And why do you think this happens? This happens because of a range of problems, as I have answered. There are many reasons for this thing. So I have to mention some of the reasons in this particular essay. They're asking, what are they? So you need to go give answers for them, for these questions. Why is this happening? Minimum two causative factors we have to mention, and we need to explain that. And next question is, how might it be remedied? So what solution is suggest for this particular problem? So we can say the solution for this problem, it said there are two feasible solutions. So two feasible solutions, in the sense they are going ahead with two solutions. How many causes? I don't know. They have said a range of factors. They are going to discuss some. So we have two sentences in the introduction. Number one is addressing the topic very clearly in simple sentences, but you have not copied the question as it is. The second sentence is your topic, your thesis, your what you are going to write in the coming paragraph. You are going to write a range of problems. Some of these range of problems will be mentioned there. What you are going to write next, along with two feasible solutions. Some, you have a range of problems, you'll be having selected things, and we'll be presenting it that in the essay. That is the indication. What I'm going to do is there in the first paragraph. This is what you are going to do here. So that is the thesis. So I'm going to say, I'm going to select some of the reasons from a range of options, and then I'm going to give two feasible solutions for this particular problem. So this is what I have mentioned in the first particular paragraph, that is the introduction. It is not complex, it is very clear, just two sentences. The first sentence addresses the topic, second sentence says what you are going to say further in the essay. We have not said anything there. Now you are going ahead with the causes, how it occurs. So it started like this: when analyze the issue of loneliness critically. So you can start like this. The starting is very clear, it is well connected. So what exactly the paragraph is about? What exactly is the paragraph about? It is clearly mentioned in the first line itself. The reader, for the reader, I am not giving confusion what is there in the paragraph. Inside the paragraph, you have this thing. So they are analyzing the issue of loneliness critically. So you can say, one can say it naturally occurs in specific situations. So this is number one they have said. And the example, for example, in case of a child left alone at home, when both parents go to work, number one situation. Number two situation, in case of a husband or a wife, husband or a wife, when one of them work in a distant place, and more often among elderly, when they hardly find anyone to socialize with. Okay, now this is point number one. Now point number two, another factor, that is point number one, the specific situation. Point number two is the changing lifestyle of the people. So this is another triggering factor behind this particular boredom situation. So that is the changing lifestyle of people. So that is explained in the coming sentence. When compared to the past, today people prefer to be in smaller families. When the aforementioned situation, where the aforementioned situation is artificially created. When compared to the past, people, can say modern people, prefer to be in smaller families when the aforementioned situations, when the aforementioned situation is artificially created. Lastly, third point here. Lastly, people are less emotional these days. They don't have feelings here. And this restricts free socialization. So people are emotionally numb. So what they do is that they are hesitant to communicate. If you are a social being and if you love your fellow beings, you'll be definitely asking the whereabouts, how are you feeling? To your neighbors, you will be speaking. To your society, you'll be speaking. To all of your family members, there are people who don't talk to their family members, their own brothers, their own sisters, their own husband, their own wife, their own children. There are people, the modern families, people, they hardly talk. And when this situation happens, because of many reasons, they won't talk. They have food from outside and they come to the family, they stay there and they go work. There are brothers and sisters, there are husbands and wife, there are parents and children. They don't look at each other. communication is restricted because of emotional numbness, emotional problems. So this restricts free socialization. Believe it or not, it happens in one's own family too, especially in case of maintaining proper communication with elderly. So especially in case of maintaining proper communication with elderly, it is underlined. So why is it underlined? Is because the question focuses something, even though it is a general phenomenon, we are focusing something why this is happening, especially among elderly. So that's why it's focused there. So we went with the general causes, which includes the elderly population is also included there. And we are focusing the elderly population here. Now, I just want to tell you one more thing, that in case of maintaining proper communication with elderly, I don't need further explanation here. I'll explain. You can see old parents, grandfathers and grandmothers left on their butts with children or grandchildren never enter their room and never want to see them, especially maybe sometimes they see them once in 2 weeks or once in a month, even though they stay in the same home. Sometimes they stay in old age home and they visit in once in 6 months or once in a year. So this is the problem here. So this is because of emotional, they are less emotional. That's why they are hesitant to communicate with their parents. And this is the last reason there. Now, when I move ahead to the solutions, the first is the acknowledgement of social needs to those who are affected with this issue. So we need to acknowledge the social needs of these people. We need to acknowledge the need of socialization in in specific countries, in many of the developed countries. When you sorry, you have specific time for socialization. They'll be having club meetings there in the evenings. Even though they are in old age home, they'll come together in a common place, they'll interact each other. They the acquaintances, old people, the young people, they be getting a chance to interact. So this is facilitated to them in some developed countries. It is very essential. You need to have physical programs like some sorts of functions there. Say, for example, a cultural program so they can enjoy it together, or a birthday party, or an anniversary celebration. So all these things are circumstances for them to enjoy these things together. So this is the thing here. And you can say, at last, virtual social media platforms. So you can say this can happen either physically or virtual social media platforms, and or on the social media. You can do that. You have to provide the facilities there. Another solution which seems to be feasible is enhancing the time of communication between the closer ones. So enhancing the time. So if you are spending just 10 minutes today talking to your husband or talking to your wife or talking to your children. Now, if you analyze, if you are married, you can see the time you spend with your husband or the time you spend with your wife communicating in words. It's very limited. You just calculate and see how much time you spend, you talk to your husband, and how much time you talk before marriage. So there will be some big differences there. So this sort of communication is enhancing the time of communication is something which we need to be closer and to avoid the boredom. So this is what we have said, enhancing the time of communication. For example, even when the elderly are left alone at home most of the time. So again, we came to the point elderly. Here also I have said about elderly. So I have something in the question. That's why I have given the example elderly, especially about among elderly. For example, when the elderly are left alone at home most of the time, if they get some time to be with their children or the close acquaintances, it will definitely be a solution to the crisis. So it will be a solution for the crisis, definitely. Now, to conclude, it is clear that the major reasons for the solitary feeling of people, especially the elders, it means arise from both personal and circumstantial factors. It can be personal, it can be situational. The provision of better communication facilities. So the provision of better communication facilities is here, socializing and enhancing the time. The provision of better communication facilities is the best solution for this. So I can see the word count too, how it comes, is it below 300? I have not seen the word count. It's just 300. Okay, so I can reduce the word 102 words 102 so that I can keep it below 300 so that it be better, I find. So I have come to the end of this particular